Hello, it's me again, ruining the podcast intro. I want to put a quick disclaimer here saying that this episode was recorded on the 22nd of October, but it didn't come out until either the 25th or the 26th. So in between that time, some of the anime we're talking about have put out a new episode, and that might contradict what we have to say about it. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal, but just keep that in mind, just in case. And also, this podcast may contain spoilers, as well as coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Tuturu, welcome everyone to the Our Anime Podcast. Back at it again with a new season, new anime, but the same old people. I'm Mozilla Fennekin, and joining me once again is Kaverick.
Hello there from Russia.
Of course. As well as Shaking.
Hi everyone.
And this time we finally got our shit together and managed to get a fourth member on this podcast. So making his second appearance on the podcast, please welcome Dr. Whoops.
Yay! Hi.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
So you know what it is. It's first impressions. We're just going to go over a bunch of shows that are airing this season, give our thoughts about them, discuss what's happened so far. As of now, I'm pretty sure everything has at least 2 episodes, so we should have a good time. Also, we're not going to talk about second cours, unfortunately, just things that have started this season. So, yeah, we're going to get started. This season, we're going to try a different order for these shows. Usually we sort by popularity. I think that makes the podcast a little top heavy with all the big shows. So this time, this list is according to when each anime started, except for the first one, because the first one is very special. It's an anime for the ages. It's the best anime of our generation. It's, of course, Pingu in the City.
Newt, everyone.
Newt.
Newt's out. It's really tough because, you know, when you watch Pingu, you can't really watch anything else for the rest of the day. But then the struggle is also when you have to wait for, like, the right subs for Pingu because you don't want them to newt when you're supposed to newt. So, it's a struggle, but Pingu has blessed us all. And it's, like, memes aside, it's actually, like, really fun. Like, I think it's kind of got those kind of, like, fun, quiet shows that you would watch all the time when you're a kid that doesn't really have, like, dialogue, but their actions are fun.
It's like
when it first released, I was like, "Where's the subs? I'm waiting for the subs to be out," and I realized it's a silent show. There's no subs because there's no speech. So yeah, but yeah, it's quite fun, I must say.
It's a very symbolic anime. You have to just take in all the visuals.
It's really up to interpretation, everything about it.
And it is nice because it's like 7 minutes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't take a whole lot of time out of your day. It's a nice, good time. We really needed to start with that. Kaverick, do you have anything to say?
No. I know people are. I know people are watching it because it is a show from their childhood, I believe, right? We didn't have such goodness back in my childhood in Russia.
We didn't have childhoods in
90s.
Russia.
Nope.
Yeah. Sad. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure if I can ban content nostalgia theme, I guess, and yeah, that's why I'm not watching it. I believe it could be good, it could be funny, but I am not watching it personally. Maybe later, I don't know if it's that good, if it's that fun, if it's that meme.
I probably wouldn't watch it unless it was airing. Like, probably would have skipped that.
Yeah.
You're not missing that much.
Honestly, I only watched it because it's become a meme.
Yeah.
Like you, Cav, I didn't really have Pingu in my childhood, so I mean, I just didn't know about it. So when I found out, I came home from work one morning, and then I found out that this was the #1 show on Mal, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, the meme game is strong for this one.
It is.
Well, we'll see how it stands the test of time and what people will think about it in like a year.
Hopefully they remember in a month. Let's not set the bar too high.
It's still in the top 50 of Mal, so yeah. It's not like we're supposed to take the top of Mal seriously anyway.
That is true.
Exactly.
But,
that's exactly why I gave this a 10.
Yeah, same. I do appreciate it for reminding people how much of a joke the Mal rankings are. Because I think people were getting legitimately upset that it was the #1 show on Mal, which actually is more of a joke on them because they took it seriously that a penguin show that comprises of newt-newts was the number one show on Mao. So, take that as you will.
Yeah, if you go to like the stats of the anime for like all the ratings are there. So 80% of the ratings are 10 out of 10, and then 9% of the ratings are 1 out of 10.
So tragic.
Yeah.
When will people?
So polarizing.
When will people use the full 1 to 10 scale on Mao? Not today, apparently. This is so tragic.
Idiots.
Bakas.
Yeah. But we really needed to preface this podcast with that anime because the actual first anime that we're talking about is arguably the worst one. It is the new king of shonen, guys. Are you excited?
Yeah, thanks Crunchyroll for that one. Go back to doing the like Otaro's dad meme. Stick with what you're good at. Yeah. This. It's
none other than Black Clover.
Manada! God damn it! I hate the show. This is like, if you ever were like, let me watch this one shonen, and you heard someone say like, oh yeah, this is the worst shonen of all time, all you have to do is show them Black Clover to prove them wrong. This is like the epitome of what, it's like they're actually trying to mess up everything. Like they're actively trying to fuck everything up. Like you have the like vaguely medieval concept that's not really well defined. You have like the Wizard King, which could be like the Pirate King, the like Honoke, like it could be anything, but it's the Wizard King. And then you have like the screaming MC who screams when he's talking at normal volume. And then, but of course he like doesn't have powers, but he's gonna be the Wizard King. And you have like the best friend who's like the cool calm-headed one, but he still sucks because he like doesn't have a personality. And then you have Black Clover. That's pretty
nice.
I think that's Black Clover. I think that's it for like the next 50 episodes.
I mean, it's basically your everyday, like, early 2000s shonen, but, like, boiled down to all the most basic elements in the most shitty way, and nothing else about it remotely enjoyable. It's just, it's kind of, to me, the representation of everything I don't like about the shonen demographic.
Actually, Black Clover is quite a unique show. Even just because even the source readers weren't excited about the adaptation because the source sucks.
Yeah, this is the one show where the source readers will not overhype it. The nicest thing I've heard is it's an average shonen. And you know how source readers are. They love telling you how you're watching the next best thing. And they're like, nah, you guys can skip this one. You guys are good.
Yeah, I believe it's probably Studio Pirate, I don't know how it's called. Anyway, they tried to bank on the Boku no Hero Academia ending the season, and people wanting their new shonen fix. So no matter the quality, the audience will come here and watch Black Clover, like anyway.
Yeah. If
the quality is just too low, like for anyone to enjoy it. Really, I don't know.
I think if you're like someone who is into the genre in like, the demographic in like a very, very obsessed way, like people that watch Fairy Tail 16 times. Like, I guess if you really love the genre and want a long running shonen show, then maybe this could work.
No,
just because of a lack of anything.
Yeah, like people are watching it because it's there. But even the people who do like Fairy Tail are like, no, this is shit. Source from my friend who likes Fairy Tail who says this is shit. But because I haven't seen Fairy Tail.
Yeah, I haven't either. But from what I've heard, this is kind of, it has the same reputation at this point already.
I saw some comments that were like, why did people say Black Clover was going to be really good? Because it sucks. And I was like, I've literally never heard anyone other than Crunchyroll say this show is good. And Crunchyroll is just saying it to try and get views. Like, they're not actually saying it's good. They're just calling it the new king of shonen, which is obviously a marketing ploy. So,
to be fair, they've said that for every shonen lately. Like when Boku no Hero came, like it's also Funimation's fault. Like Boku no Hero, when that came out, they were like, "Oh, it's going to be the new Naruto." And to their credit, they were kind of right. But they also said that for Twin Star Exorcist, which came out at the same time, and no one fucking likes that show.
Yeah, that's true. They do like the OPs, which does lead me to saying I do somewhat like the opening where there's like this one like 10-second part where they have some cool water animation with the girl that's going to be like the main girl. That's kind of cool in the opening, but that's as far as I've thought of like nice things to say about this show.
Yeah,
that's about it.
At least there is one strong meme surrounding Black Clover.
Yeah,
and that's Asta's voice actor.
Yeah, it's actually his first role.
Oh man, yeah. I watched some compilation videos.
I love those. Those are funny.
So you actually watched the whole show, Cav?
Yeah, you've watched the show.
Basically, yeah. It's kind of hard to believe, like what they tried to achieve with such voice, and the sound director, like the person who made the voice actor to voice Asta in such way, what they tried to accomplish, like to make him deliberately annoying or just like a kid or something. I don't know, but it sounds so horrible. Like there is a limit to how one character may sound.
Yeah.
And that limit is surpassed and just broken when it comes to Asta's voice sound. Yeah.
Everyone I've talked about it with agrees that the voice is just awful. So if every person in your audience agrees that the voice is awful, then wouldn't they have noticed themselves? That's so weird. How they create the show with that voice and not be like, this is the worst thing
I think it's because the show is trying so hard to be every other show by like kind of piecing together the other elements of other popular shonens that they've tried to gather like every trope possible, but then they're like, okay, these other shonen MCs yell and people love them, like they buy all this shit of them. We should have our MC yell so people know that he's passionate. But they didn't actually think it through and realize, like, you know, it sounds like shit. And the other reason, like, people don't actually like MCs yelling that much unless they have good reason to. Like, for as much shit as, like, I think Eren from, like, Attack on Titan, like, he yells a lot, but a lot of times it's because, like, shit's going down. It's not because he's doing, like, push-ups. It's like people are getting eaten and shit and he's yelling. Not like, wow, gonna run down the street, time to yell. Like, you know, you gotta have a time and place for that. And even then, people find Eren's yelling annoying because there's just too much of it.
Yeah, the show is like a shonen made by someone who has no idea what people like about show.
Yeah. So, if you literally have nothing else to watch, still you shouldn't watch Black Clover. That's the message.
There are like 20 better shows this season. But
and
I want to... Oh, what's up?
To go ahead.
Alright, I just want to like... I didn't want to talk about this show for so long, but I really like gotta express like just how bad this show and this main character is. I only lasted like 4 minutes into this fucking thing, because like it starts off with the backstory. It starts off with a flashback. It's fairly harmless. It's fine. But then when they introduce the main character, for some reason, someone thought that it was a good idea to introduce the main character while he's going on some autistic rampage because this nun in the church he lives with, she won't marry him even though he's like 15.
And she's a nun.
And she's a nun. And he's just like constantly screaming and bashing his head on the ground. And like, I know it's trying to be funny. I know it's supposed to be a joke. But it is not funny, dude. Like, it is embarrassing. This main character is insufferable.
Yeah, like...
And I also dropped it because I don't support the fact that this anime is 50 episodes because, like, someone needs to stop this because I'm legitimately concerned this voice actor cannot do this for 50 episodes. He is going to die!
Yeah, poor dude. Like, your first role is being the most annoying main character in recent years. Poor dude. Like, worst big break of all time.
Yep. His page on Mal is full of insults and people are making fun of him. Yeah, that's not going to be good.
Yeah.
I hope he gets to redeem himself.
Yeah, by he has to sacrifice his voice in order to get magical powers, a la Little Mermaid. Yo, we're on to something. Yo, we got this. Did I just save Black Clover?
Did you just save the magical girl genre?
Did I just say? Yeah, if they do that, I'm all in. I'm gonna keep watching it because it is actually not the worst show I'm watching this season, but it's still pretty bad.
Wow. I think the voice actor is just doing this role so that in the future he can be typecast with like a deep, raspy voice because his lyrics will just be completely burned and destroyed by the show.
Yeah. R.I.P. throat. All right, we gotta move on. We talked about this for a long time. Fortunately, that's probably the one show we're going to be the most collectively negative about. There are lots of really good shows this season, including this next one, which is actually my favorite of the season. It is Juuni Taisen, Zodiac War.
Interesting.
So this anime is very, 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 very simple. It is basically Mirai Nikki, but written by Nisio Isin, who is the author of Monogatari, which might seem strange, but it's actually pretty action-heavy. It's not like his other works, which are very dialogue-heavy. There's pretty much all the dialogue is about the event they're in, about actually fighting each other. It's what this anime is. It's about 12 characters who are based off of the Chinese zodiac. So they all refer to each other as the boar or the ox or etc. And every 12 years, there's this thing called the Taisen, which is a battle to the death. They all gather in one place, and whoever wins, whoever's the last person standing, they get a wish granted, any wish they want. And that's it. It's just a fun time where you get all these really weird, wacky characters. They gotta fight each other and kill each other. And it is a wonderful time. Super edgy, super violent, and just very satisfying in every regard. Because it knows that it's edgy and violent, and it doesn't try to be anything else.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And there is one piece of trivia which went down several days ago in the official anime Discord channel. That apparently this show is a prequel to an existing story. So,
really?
Yeah, people in Japan are watching it, and it's written under an assumption that the viewer already knows the winner.
Oh, weird. Do you know what the original story is?
Yeah. I don't know because I don't want to spoil myself.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's still kind of ambiguous who's gonna win. I have my suspicions. They are pretty strong about the winner.
Yeah.
And I was voicing them from the episode 1, I believe. Yeah, in the channel Discord.
I can see maybe 3.
I'm not...
I think there's 3 potential winners that I can see happening, but I'm still in the air too.
Yeah, I want to speculate. Yeah, I would say that Nezumi Rat is going to win.
Oh, the rat?
Just because of his position in the opening ending and how mysterious he is. People were talking about him. They vaguely knew him, but couldn't remember where exactly.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I kind of suspicious that he's gonna pull a card at the end and win.
Interesting.
What about you? What do you think about it? Who's gonna win?
I quite like it, actually. I'm not usually one to go for action shows, and especially not the edgy battle royale show, but this one genuinely keeps me at the edge of my seat. Not even necessarily because I'm curious about what's going to happen, but because it does such a good job of making it interesting.
Yeah, who do you think is gonna win? What is your money on?
There's some that are too obvious, like the Ox, who is constantly being called the most powerful warrior in the world. So I can't see him winning. I really don't have any idea because some of the characters are just not even addressed yet. So I don't really have one that really feels like it's going to jump out because there's some that are just kind of obscure and don't really have had much attention yet, and the most that have had attention yet just feel too obvious. But yeah,
what about you guys?
Yeah, I really like it so far. It's pretty entertaining. I'm not really a fan of how these like first 3 episodes have kind of had the same format of they spend like 80% of the episode on one character, giving them like a huge background story, and then we see that they're gonna get killed. You know, I think it's kind of like you can only pull that so many times before it gets a bit predictable. So, I mean, it's like the first episode, I thought it was a cool bait and switch. Then the second episode, I kind of had my suspicions, and then the third episode, like, as soon as I saw that they were starting with the like, rooster, I'm like, okay, she's dead. Which I think they need to find, like, another kind of storytelling format for the rest of the series, because otherwise, those on top of the episode titles are very, like, hey, guess what's happening this episode? And it doesn't make it uninteresting. It's still kind of fun to watch, but I do think if there's, like, one of the strengths is the unpredictability aspect of what's going to happen, then they need to switch it up a bit to make it a bit more interesting.
Well, even then...
Yeah.
What's up?
Everyone is... Sorry, just a really quick remark. Everyone is talking about it, yes, but everyone is going under the assumption that Ishin is going to twist the formula and make some exciting like twist rounds like later on. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll
like
see.
I think
it's intentionally the same way, just so the following twist would be a wild one.
Yeah, I mean, if they end up doing that, then I'll like give props for that. But since it's been like 3 episodes in a row, like if the 4th episode starts with like one character and they end up like not dying, then I'll be like, okay, now we've like switched it up a bit. But if they start with like another character like specifically and then they end up dying again, it's just going to be kind of disappointing because it feels like they're just kind of doing the same song and dance. And I think it will kind of ruin the tension we have between not really knowing what's going on in the city and how these characters interact with each other. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty fun so far. It's just like, it's been pretty decent. Yeah, I guess that's all I can say. I do like the idea though that you brought up, Cav, about like the rat being like the real winner, because he's one of those guys that's really gone under the radar, but he still has a presence. So I'm excited to see what he does. I think that's that would be a cool development if he ends up being like a main player.
Well, the thing about this anime being predictable is I do see what you're saying, but they already are kind of changing it up. Like, well, first off, I just want to say that even though you can kind of predict who is going to die with each episode so far, it's still the way they die, and it's like the when and how it happens is still really, really exciting for me. Like, yeah. And also, I'm not sure, I do think they will change it up later on, because in episode 3, another character died, and it was kind of off screen, and it's not a confirmed death yet. But,
yeah.
But, you know, if it really is a confirmed death, then that is really interesting that they're killing off other characters immediately. So, yeah. And I also think that there's, you know, a big deal about like what the wish at the very end is the winner is going to grant. I think that could be a really interesting twist as well. I do think something will happen down the line. I do agree this show could be better. It is a little bit predictable, and if it is completely linear, like a lot of people have pointed out that it is following the zodiac order in the order of deaths. So if it does do that completely, then it will be a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, because I like the theme of the Zodiac, like the Zodiac theme in general, and if it followed that and then suddenly switched it up in a way, I think that would be cool. But I do want to see more of, you know, alliances and different kinds of interactions that aren't just, you know, I think this guy's going to be strong and then they get killed, or these two are going to work together and then their partnership immediately falls apart. Like, I'd like to see more of just everyone interacting with each other in a more strategic way than just a bait and switch way.
Yeah.
I do think the characters have interesting personalities overall. Or at least maybe not interesting, but entertaining personalities and varied personalities. So that really helps with it being interesting despite being predictable.
Who do you think is gonna win, Bob?
I'm actually with you on the rat hype train, because I think it also, I maybe I'm wrong. I might have like misremembered this, but I do think like given the order of the deaths, like Rat is last in line on the Zodiac, but maybe I forgot.
I don't know. I don't want to spoil myself with this order.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just watching it because, you know, the fights are... Well,
Yeah.
even though the fights are, like, super short for most of them, except for the one in the first episode, which was fucking awesome. I hope there are more of those.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
they're really short and quick.
Because at first I took the apparent death that might not be a death in the third episode happening off screen as kind of budget saving. But if that turns into, like, a development later on, then I think that will be pretty cool. But yeah, I hope to see more of the cool fight scenes that we got in the first episode, even with, like, the boar training and having some cool fight scenes with that. So, that'll be cool. I think it's still pretty fun, but I'm waiting to see if, like, where it's gonna go from here.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Alright, so next show on the list is Konohana Kitan.
Yeah, the show, it's not what it seems to be at first, because when I first saw the promotional image, I just thought, oh, it's a cute girls show with fox girls, and that's it. But it's actually more... It's basically about these... They are fox girls, but they're in kind of a Hanasaku era setting, where they're in a bathhouse where they work. So it's more of a girls working on a bathhouse type of show. And it's pretty chill. It's entertaining, it's fun. But I wouldn't say it's very noteworthy. The main appeal of the show, I think, is the characters, even though they're not amazing, but they are generally above average, I'd say. So, yeah, it's very standard slice of life, but it's good at it. I think there's not much to say about it. I think.
Yeah, it's just okay. At least, based on the first episode, I really thought this was like an Inuyashiki type show where it's just very relaxing, very quiet. But episode 2 was actually surprisingly dramatic, kind of like in a way that you'd expect the final episode to be, because there's like this whole thread about like, oh no, one of the girls, she might leave the group forever. And I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen episode 3, so I don't know if it goes back to being relaxing or if it's another dramatic episode. But otherwise, it's a nice show just to watch when you're watching like 12 shows in a season. You know, it's there. It doesn't really insult your intelligence or anything. It's not outstanding, but I just like it.
Yeah, after the first episode, I got really into it because I loved the atmosphere of it and it was really chill. But yeah, episode 2 and 3 have been less. It's kind of, I can't find it. It's more dynamic in a way. It's less Yashike and more like balance between comedy and mild drama. So yeah, but it's fun.
All right.
It's not great, but it's good.
Yeah, it's just a decent show. So if we're done with that one, the next one is probably the most underrated and least deserving of all the trash talk that it's gotten this season. It is Urahara.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few people that really likes this show, and I mean really likes it. I mean, this for me is like top 3 or top 5 new shows of the season potential, and this is a really strong season, so that says a lot. It's like it's got a really distinctive, like bright pastel color style that it pulls it off really well, and it's almost like a trigger show where it's very quirky and absurd and over the top, but it's insanely fun, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's based on like a culture in Japan called Harakuju, I believe, which is kind of like you have like gal culture, but then something else, and it goes into some really interesting ideas of preserving your own culture or hipsters stealing cultures from other people. But that's not. It's quite abstract about it, which is the main reason why people don't like this show, I think, is because it's just very absurd and abstract in its presentation. But yeah, I really like it.
It's very, very unusual, both in the way that the art style looks, because not only is it very, very colorful, it also seems to be maybe inspired by ping pong, with the way that it has a very jagged art style, but not as jagged as Ping Pong. I actually think this show looks good. And it also uses split screens pretty often sometimes to like substitute for actual like animation, actual movement. But it's also like the way the characters act. In episode 1, it was like really strange to me that like this one girl, Mari, she would always overreact to everything. Like, oh no, I can't do this. I can't understand what's going on. But it's like, there was this like fakeness to her voice that really stuck out to me. Like she's just playing herself up for attention. I don't know. I have like all these weird theories and thoughts about this show. Like it's doing a lot more than what we're seeing. Like there's a lot that it's hiding from us. I can't say for sure because after episode 1, not much has been done to confirm what I think about it, but it is a really interesting show. I do think that a lot of people hate this show because they like see all these weird things that don't make a whole lot of sense at first. They see these characters acting kind of unnaturally, like it's about like an alien invasion basically, and the girls are just like, oh, we should throw the aliens a welcoming party. This is cool. It's like they're so casual about it for some reason. There's no panic whatsoever. I think that people just see this and they just immediately think this is bad writing. It sucks. I hate it. Yeah. Dropped out of 10. But I don't know. It's really fascinating to me and it really pulls me in. It's off-putting in a good way.
You kind of have to look at it in a different mindset than you would a normal show, because it's not really something that you look at and then criticize the narrative or the depth of the characters or anything like that. It's a very specific and very different type of appeal.
Yeah. I'm here to moderately rain on both of your parades, but not as much as you might expect. I watched the show and I agree with you guys. I really like the aesthetic of it. I think it's like really colorful and unique looking. And I like how the characters have like really defined personalities so far. Like you have the one who's like got the like the princess kind of air to her, who's like a bit snobby but not like unapproachable. And then you have the really happy, innocent one, and kind of the middle ground one who's got her artistic side. But I think it's like interesting and unique, but I kind of have a problem with how the episode structures are made. It definitely kind of feels like a bit disorganized, but not in a like purposely disorganized way. Like not in a disorganized way that kind of adds to the series. So I think it's kind of like pleasant to watch, but I don't think I'm really as captured by it as you guys are. But I did really like episode 3 and the kind of message about, you know, aliens trying to steal that one girl's creativity and how they kind of fought back against that while also giving that one girl more confidence. So I think if they do more episodes like that in this really kind of unique, funky, artistic way, I can definitely get behind this show a lot more.
Interesting. I'm gonna provide some kind of outsider perspective, I guess. I know that the show is kind of hyped in like nervous circles. Like it's from a new director, Kakuba, and apparently she's a very promising one. She made some cool like shorts, and it seems like it's an experimental show. Like with wild colors, with interesting direction, with unusual decisions and such. I didn't pick it up because most of the time, this kind of shows have style but lack substance. I was afraid that the show wouldn't have a strong narrative and would just kind of showcase of director's skills, but not compelling anime and story as a whole. So that's why I'm keeping my eye on it, but I'm not watching it right now. I'll wait for people to finish the show, say their reactions, and probably pick up afterwards. Or not. We'll see.
That's fair.
Yeah, probably for the best.
I think it's just the type of show that you really need to watch before you can know how you feel about it. It's not really...
I don't know. Like people were hyped and were selling a lot of flip flappers a year ago, and it had a lot stronger reviews after the first 3 episodes, and it still went downhill in the second half. So yeah, you'll never know.
Yeah, sure.
That's debatable, but I see what you're saying at least. And I'll admit, like, I'm really positive about this show. I think it is one of the better shows of the season, but it might also just be based on, like, I want this show to be good. It's weird to say that there are 3 episodes of it, but I still kind of feel like there's not enough of it to really get a firm grasp of what it's really trying to do. It's just that I just hope it's good, basically. It just kind of fascinates me, like everything about it, just the way the show is, and like the fact that Crunchyroll is at the top of the production committee for this. Like, this is basically a Crunchyroll made anime for some reason. It's like, of all things, they made this really weird experimental show instead of like writing something that would just appeal to as many people as possible. No, they went with this. It's just,
well, how could they when the King of Shonen is airing this season? You know, how could they get in on that?
That figures. But yeah, it's just, it's one of the most interesting shows of the season for sure. I do think it is worth a lot of people's time. I just want to say, just watch an episode or 2 and just really think about it. Don't just immediately go with your first reaction of this sucks. Because it's worth a little more than that. So the next show, if we're done with that, is... The next show is Ousama Game, the animation, or King's Game, which, honestly, this is the best show of the season, guys.
So I want to apologize to everyone.
Do you want to get triggered? Urahara is rated lower than Ousama Game on my list.
That's bad.
Urahara is like legitimately one of the lowest scored anime
that's not fair.
of all time.
Or I might be iffy on it, but like it shouldn't be below Black Clover and Ousama Game. That's fucked up. You guys need to rethink your life decisions, guys. Come on. Like, this is basically where The Reflection was when that came out. The Reflection was legitimately fucking bad. Like, you watch 10 seconds of that show and it's like, what the fuck did they do? They didn't even make the show right. This is like actually cool. Speaking of what the fuck were they thinking, Ousama Game.
So
I want to apologize to everyone who watched Mayoiga and who liked Mayoiga, because I said at some point Ousama Game was the Mayoiga of the season, and I could not have been more wrong, because Mayoiga was at least like kind of funny and fun. This is just a steaming pile of shit. Like, I don't actually get offended at, like, I understand the anime industry, and I'm like, there's only so much they can do with, like, making good shows, making wanted sequels, but there were people who sat down and said, we're gonna put our money towards this steaming pile of shit, instead of making, like Spice and Wolf Season 3, Haruhi Season 3, like, people could have made something of value, and they chose to make Ousama Game.
Hey, White Fox, where's Steins Gate Zero? You said you'd make it 2 years ago. I'm still waiting on it.
That will come,
wrong,
though.
Shaw.
But that's like, there's some shows that will never come, but instead we get Ousama Game. And like they have like Miyano, like one of the top voice actors in Ousama Game. Like, how'd they swing that? How is he like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm bored, why not? Let's do Ousama Game.
Never happened.
What about Pyle? Like the voice actor for Maki from Lovely.
What? Wait, which voice actor?
Who?
From Maki, she's an idol, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and she apparently voices one of the character in Ousama Game.
And they have like Hanekawa's voice actress is in here. She's the main girl. They have like all these voice actors who are like pretty good and could get jobs elsewhere, and they chose to be in Ousama Game. Like,
and that's why Ousama Game is the best anime of the season.
Oh my god!
Because it's the funniest anime. This is one of my favorite shows of the whole year because it's just so fucking dumb.
I hate this show.
It's hilarious.
I hate this show.
I hate it. I hate it, but I love it.
So what Ousama Game is about it's about this thing called the King's Game, or the Ousama Game, whatever. Fucking, I don't speak fucking Japanese. The King's Game is this thing where basically everyone in this class, they get these junk mail messages from the king or something. They have to do what these messages say, and if they don't, a punishment will happen, which is usually a very violent death.
Yeah.
And it's great because most of these orders are just like really petty and stupid. Like, a lot of them would just involve, like, you gotta kiss this one girl, you gotta grope her, you gotta have sex with her. It's just dumb shit like that. And it's just funny to see all these characters just, like, break down mentally and be like, no, I'd rather die than sleep with your girlfriend.
Oh my god. That was so... Yeah, that was, like, the epitome. Was, like, in the third episode when they got the, like, order, like, oh yeah, you gotta, like, have sex before midnight and you only have 10 minutes. And then the main character, like, locks his best friend and his girlfriend in a room and he's like, you guys gotta do it. And then it's like... I was like, this is the dumbest shit of all time. And then they're all crying and stuff. Like, it's so dumb. I got, like, shout out to that one girl who lost the popular vote, so she jumped out a window. Like, you
and then
dumb.
that's the best joke of the whole season. There's this popularity contest. The king orders everyone to vote for these two people, or one of these two people. Whoever loses a popular vote will get a punishment. The punishment is not explicitly said, but the girl is but because other characters have already died, the girl is convinced that she will die if she loses this game. So once it's revealed that she loses the popular vote, she immediately just jumps out the window.
She's like, yeah, I don't want to hang myself.
Kill her.
Like, I don't want to hang myself, but I'll jump out the window instead. Like, that's a nice alternative.
She jumps out the window, and, like, after a 2-story fall, like, her entire body just, like, destroys itself, and blood flies up to the 2nd floor on the main character.
What?
It's like, so stupid.
And then they get the message that has her punishment, and it just says, she will confess to her crush.
Like...
That's the punishment she avoided.
Every time you think this show can't get any worse, it just does. Every time you think the scene has reached like a low point, then it just takes one step further to make it just that bit more ridiculous. Like the scene where the main guy locks his friend and his girlfriend in the room because if they don't have sex, they die. At one point, he knocks out his friend and tells his girlfriend, you have to fuck him.
Yeah.
You have to fuck him while he's unconscious because otherwise he'll die.
Yeah, like this show. I gotta love, like, shout out to the main girl for that 180 yandere twist. She's like a normal person, and then all of a sudden she's like, no, I'm gonna like fucking kill you all and like fuck the MC. Like, that was so weird. And then everyone's like, hey, like, are you feeling okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine, you just gotta kill him. Like, it's like so fucking weird. But Souma, one for the ages.
So Juuni Taisen, I said Juuni Taisen is kind of like the new Mirai Nikki, but in a good way. This is the new Big Order.
But,
Whoa.
I mean, this show can stand, like, among Garzy's wing as something you just watch because of how awful it is.
Sorry saying it's a good shit watch, right?
It is a miraculous train wreck.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's probably one of the best comedies of the season without realizing that it's actually a comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, it for me it is the funniest show of the season, even more than what other fucking comedies do we have this season? It doesn't matter. Next show, we got to move on. The next show is Just Because.
Yeah, this show really surprised me, specifically in the 3rd episode, because the start of the show, the first episode was very vague and all over the place and kind of slow. And I didn't really know what to think of it, but then it gradually got really better. It's basically, the show is kind of school slice of life show essence. It's just about a group of 17, 18-year-old kids, or students, whatever, teens, just living their life, interacting with each other, getting to know each other, trying to kind of make the most out of their school time. And there's not really much of a narrative outside of that, but it does such an amazing job at making it all feel natural and genuine and true to life, which is something that I really noticed in the 3rd episode. The voice acting, the cinematography, the animation, it's all very human and expressive, which is really the main appeal of the show. It's just watching characters interact and have a good time and struggle with their romantic life, with their school life or other things, and it's portrayed in a very genuine way, which I really like, and it's really sort of surprising. Are any of you watching this show? Or
Yeah, I'm watching it. I like it so far. I think I agree with you. I think the first episode was kind of a bit slow and meandering, but I did like the second episode. I still have to watch the third, but I do think I kind of like it for that kind of subdued human feeling. That's like, I mean, I do like these romances that tend to be more grounded and not over the top dramatics. So I'm interested to see where it goes. But I do hope they manage to establish kind of like an interesting group dynamic that doesn't turn into like a love polygon that turns into like a lot of drama. It would be just cool if they had a grounded romance with characters trying to live the best of their last semester in high school.
Yeah, I just think it has a really good balance between like fun character interaction and some genuinely interesting character moments.
Yeah.
And all wrapped up in a lot of, like, it has that really nice atmosphere to it that makes it all feel so welcoming and genuine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now it's most time to slay the show.
Look,
shit.
I don't hate this. I dropped this show
I didn't
after
see this
episode
coming.
1.
Your next line
Yeah.
No,
is...
you dropped it after.
So
You dropped it after episode 1. Doesn't count.
I dropped it just because I felt like it. I don't want to disappoint you, Cav, but I just want to speed this podcast up a little bit. I don't hate just because. I think it's a fine show. It's just not for me. I'm just not interested in it. That's it. I'm sure people will like it. I think this is kind of in the same territory as Tsukigakure, where it starts off really slow, but then it's going to have like a really big ending. I think it's going to be like a sleeper hit. That's fine. It's fine. I don't have any problems with it. It's just not for me. So, let's just move on from there.
Okay.
Cav, tell us about the new remake of Kino no Tabi.
Yeah, it's not a remake actually. It's a readaptation.
Quote unquote.
Which means they are not remaking the old anime. They are adapting new chapters of the novel.
My apologies.
Yeah, it actually matters because it means you should not really compare it to the original series because the stories are different, the stuff is different, everything is pretty much different. Like almost 15 years has passed. That's a lot of time.
So just to clarify, it's not a sequel.
It's not a sequel at all, and you could watch the new series without watching the first one.
Gotcha.
I don't know why would you do it because the first original series is great. Like it's one of the better series of like.
Because I don't have time for that.
The previous decade. It's great. Yeah. The new series is actually pretty good. Like many people were concerned about it because it was by Lerche. It was with different production team. With some goofy CGI action going on. It's actually pretty good and solid after 3 episodes. While shitting on the Lerche and CGI, people kind of forgot that the source is still excellent, and the novel is still really good and one of the best sellers in the Japan. So yeah, the basis is still so strong that no matter how the production goes, it's still a very strong anime. Production is actually good. Like it's on the level of like shows of recent days. I don't know. Like
it's a fine show. It looks okay.
It's a contemporary. Yeah. It still retains spirit and main ideas of the original series, which is good. It just misses a certain spark of ingenuity that the original series had in terms of presentation, especially like when the original series, how it presents Kino, how it develops there. I don't know if it's a spoiler. I'm not sure if it's a spoiler. What kind of gender Kino is. Let's leave it ambiguous.
I actually just want to say, I don't want to comment on that. I have been told that Kino is a girl. And I know there's a lot of like contention about this. There's a lot of discussion about this. I don't think it matters at all. In fact, I think
it doesn't matter. Really.
I think the point of Kino being androgynous is because so far in this series anyway, Kino has been very passive. Basically, Kino just shows up in these different countries and just lets shit happen. Like in episode 3, I forgot, like, something specific happened, and it was kind of, like, not good. It was, like, kind of painting the country she was living in at the time, the country she was visiting, as, like, the bad country, and Hermes, her talking motorcycle, that's a thing, was like, Kino, what should we do? And she's like, nothing. Let's not do anything. Let's not butt in. And it's like, yep. I just think that Kino being androgynous, like, reflects the passivity of her character.
Interesting. People have been saying that this ambiguity when it comes to the gender means that it's easier to travel as a man than a woman, basically. And yeah, that's about it.
I can buy that.
But yeah, it's a good show. It's a good show. I would recommend it to everyone who loved the original series. It lacks in certain aspects, but it's still a very good show. Also, there are some very good things about it, like Aoyuki does a fantastic job as Kino. And
wait, what? That's Aoyuki?
What? Yep.
What the fuck?
Yep. It's like the best year for Aoyuki, I guess. She got so many different roles, and she did a fantastic job in every single of them, basically. Yeah, and Hermes' voice actor is better than in the original series, like, because in the original series he was very annoying, and this time he is less annoying, just balancing here, I guess.
Hermes is just kind of there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good show. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. There are still chapters to be adapted. But yeah, it's pretty strong anime, I would say.
It's a nice little adventure series, very episodic. It's about every episode so far has been Kino visiting a new country, and it's usually like it usually reflects the philosophy of that country in interesting ways. So it's nice. Is anyone else watching it?
Yeah, I am, and I have watched the original series, and I basically agree with most of the things Kev said. Which is just that it's more of the same with a bit less style and a bit less interesting things going on visually. But yeah, it really doesn't feel like it's a step below the original, maybe a small step, but it's good. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Would you guys say, since I haven't seen either, would you guys say it's kind of like attempting to create the same feel and atmosphere of the original, or are they trying to do their own kind of style, but it kind of feels a bit watered down?
No, they're definitely trying to retain the spirit of the original series.
Okay.
That's for
and
sure.
Succeeding.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
For when I eventually watch it. Soon, TM.
Yeah. Alright, what's next? Next show is Shoujo Shuumatsu Ryokou, or Girl's Last Tour.
I would say that this show is actually called Blob's Last Tour. That's what I've been calling
Potato's Last Tour.
Dab's Last Tour.
Yeah, since episode 1.
Girl's
Yeah.
Last Dab.
Girl's Last Dab.
Girls love dab.
Yeah, I'm mildly obsessed with this show right now because it's basically everything I've been asking for a long time. It's a slice of life adventure show set in a post-apocalyptic world with cute girls. Like, what's not to like? It's the perfect setting, and it's done so well. They're basically two girls, and they're traveling along this big post-apocalyptic city that's kind of destroyed, but there's still a lot of people. And it's really interestingly crafted. It's built up in different layers, and it's a giant city, and they have their motorcycle, which they travel around in. And the world is just so vibrant, and the girls are so expressive and fun to watch. The show has such a delicate balance between world building, fun character interactions, and just a ton of atmosphere. So I think it's absolutely brilliant.
I too have been looking for a show that takes place in Cav's backyard, and now I fully get to appreciate it. But no, jokes aside, I love this show so much. I think it was really cool at first because I saw the premise and it looked interesting, and then when I started it, I was like a bit slightly hesitant because they're like essentially blobs. But as you said, they have some really interesting character interactions and dynamics. And it's just been such a treat to watch so far, where they do so much showing and not telling, and we get to learn so much about the world they're in. But it was also really cool to see, I think I remember the first episode, they have the scene where they're not like fighting over the chocolate, but where they have, the one girl has the chocolate, and she like legitimately like points her gun at the other girl before eating it. That was like a jump scare that I didn't really expect to have in it. And it just reminds you about like the severity of the world. And I really appreciate that, how they're not kind of trying to make it any cuter than it is. Like, it's definitely a very like intense environment they're living in.
Yeah, it definitely shows the girl in some situations where they're almost starved for food or have to go through some really extreme situations. But then at the same time, that's just what life is for them, and their reaction to it is just all very, like, it's natural to them, and it is natural to them. So that makes the world all feel all the more interesting, and makes the girls all the more interesting.
It will be,
because they're so closely connected to each other.
It will be interesting to see if, like, you know, right now it's like both of them kind of against the world, but if it ends up being kind of like they kind of have to fight each other for survival, that would be like a really interesting turn.
And
I don't agree with that. I don't. It's not the direction I want to see the show go in. I really want it to be about them surviving and exploring the world.
I actually think that the scene with the gun in the first episode, the way what's her name?
Yuri?
Yuri.
She's a blue girl. She's the blonde haired girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you pointed the gun at the other girl whose name I also forgot.
Cheeto.
Chi-chan.
Yeah. Okay. So you pointed the gun at Chi and was like, this is war. This is what war is. And then immediately was just like, yeah, just kidding. And I feel like the way they just immediately let up on that scene, I feel like it was the show itself, like the creators saying that we're not going to make this a dramatic show. It's not going to go that way. It's just these two girls in their everyday lives. And kind of what Whoops was saying about how these girls are in a very harsh environment, but they're still so casual about it. That's what really draws me into the show. That's what I really love about it. Because when you can describe this show in a really, really grim way, but it's not at all a grim show, in my opinion. It's very relaxing, if anything.
I would agree with the original point, but I think what stood out to me about the gun scene was how she points the gun at Yu points the gun at Chi-chan, and instead of letting up and saying, oh, just kidding, and sharing her food with her, she still eats the food while having her gun pointed at her, which conveyed to me that it was like, you know, I'm not going to actually shoot you, but I'm not joking around about this food. Like, I'm still going to eat it, and I'm not going to share with you if push comes to shove. I'm going to put my survival over yours, which is kind of what I got from that before they did pull back, and they're like, oh, you're like, you suck, like, you ate all the food kind of thing. So I can see it going either way, and I'd be cool with either direction, but I do think there was, like, an intention in that scene to convey seriousness that we won't see going away in the future.
I think the intention with the scene was more that it's about, like, we could take this into a serious direction, and this is an extreme environment, but at the same time, these girls, the only thing they have is each other, so it's kind of more to show, I think, like, how it's not being that, like, drama, survival, extreme show because of the extreme environment.
And I think it could stay like that light-heartedness for the majority of it, but I do think it could take that turn if their situation gets worse.
Yeah, I think it's more the idea that it could happen, but it's not actually going to happen.
I guess we'll find out.
That's more the message.
Well, fine.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I think, and the show also has a really like mildly psychological moments in it, especially in the third episode, where it's about like they're traveling around the city just trying to survive, and at one point they're like, "Yeah, why are we doing this?
Why are we alive?"
Not even in a depressing way or in a sad way. They're just kind of casually making conversations like, "I wonder why we're alive." Kind of. It's really interesting how they just like on face value everything about the show should be depressing, and some things about dialogue like that should be very negative, but it's not portrayed in that way, and it has a very good balance between that.
It's just genuine curiosity about themselves and the world around them.
Yeah, balance between seriousness and like lack atmosphere is pretty good. There is one point I want to talk about regarding Blob's last tour. Yeah, it's like yesterday, like on Saturday, I saw a thread on Eranime suddenly, which like, what was your favorite show of the season? What is your favorite show of the season currently? And the show which got most of votes by far was Blob/Tour. I was really curious because I didn't expect it, because with shows like third season of Souma, with Mahoyomi, with Sangetsu, one would expect that they would like be the most popular shows. But it was Blob/Tour. So I thought about it and realized, and with the help of other people, that the anime has both mainstream appeal and niche appeal. So mainstream because it's a cute girls doing cute things show in an unusual setting, like it really draws people in. And niche is because it has unusual character design. Like the girls are white. People are reminded of Hidamari's sketch.
They're just dango, like walking dango around everywhere.
They're almost chibi, like.
Yeah, people are reminded of Sora Novoto, of Hidamari's sketch, even of Kemono Friends, because of the setting. Yeah, and there is a lot of things going on for its author and their mental state. Because Tsukumizu is a very interesting person, I would really advise you checking out their Twitter and Tumblr.
The author...
And there is a lot of context, behind the scene, behind the entire manga, behind the entire story, and it's very interesting to like look past the show and see why this manga came to fruition, basically. So yeah, even snobs, even people who are like skeptical when it comes to the show, really love Blob/Tour. So it has a really wide appeal, like from pretty much everyone. Everyone likes the show, which is kind of surprising for me.
It's a 10 out of 10 across the board.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
it was the show I was most looking forward, TBH, this season. And it's with Sangatsu no Line and Gintama's new seasons coming in, just because it was so unique, and people were telling me that the manga is great, like amazing manga, and I was really looking forward to it. And I'm really happy that it meets all of my expectations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you said you call it 10 out of 10, kind of jokingly, but genuinely, I was so excited after the third episode that I went to my mail and put this as my 7th favorite anime of all time already.
Wow.
So,
high praise.
And I would give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
so we're even.
Worst show of all time, 7 out of 10.
Thanks, IGN.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I'm really liking it so far, and it's definitely probably like my favorite of the season too. Yeah, I hope it continues on what it's doing so far. Like, if it continues, it'll definitely be my favorite of the season.
Oh yeah. Well, not counting Sengatsu for me.
Yo, are you gonna be forced to choose? What if this does better than Sengatsu season 3? I mean, season 2.
Oh no, you're gonna have to point a gun at Sengatsu.
Are you gonna be in like a love triangle situation where you have to choose a better favorite?
I'll just one's a sequel, so I just pretend like that doesn't.
You can't go full harem end. You can't do that.
All right, we got
every show you see.
We got to move on from Girls Last Tour. We got a few shows to talk about still. And
We got to go back on the seasonal tour.
Yeah. So the next show is Land of the Lustrous, or Houseki no Kuni.
Houseki no Kuni, yeah. It's actually a hidden gem of the season. Slow clap. Yeah. So if you don't know about it, it's the show about gems, literally. So every character
Android?
is a gem. Android? I don't know.
No one
Android?
gets this joke.
No slow clap for you.
The two people who watch that show will appreciate it.
Whoa. Anyway, Houseki has been the biggest surprise for me this season. I didn't want to watch it initially, but people were selling it so hard, like in small circles, that I decided to drop Inuyashiki instead and watch Houseki no Kuni. And it has been great and stunning so far. I know many people are not watching it because it's a full CGI show, but I gotta tell that this show looks much better than any currently airing show, except probably Children of the Whales. Yeah, it's stunning. It's incredible. Just because it's CGI, it has some really great shots. The panning camera, just the whole animation is so fluid, so natural. I was also skeptical just because I was comparing it kind of to a Polygon studio anime like Knights of Sidonia and Agent, and they were pretty meh on visual style. But Orange, the studio who makes Houseki no Kuni, just has been producing some really great stuff.
Is it kind of like you mentioned the shot composition or the directing or something? That kind of reminds me of Kato.
Kato? I don't know. Kato was a thing, I guess. I kind of forgot about it for the better part, I guess.
I mean, judging by the poster, this definitely doesn't look anything like it. It's just like the directing style.
No. Houseki is it's pretty unique. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of I like analyze shows. I like analyzing shows. Think about it, like what I like, what I dislike about them. And when it comes to Houseki, I'm just like a blank because I really don't know what to say about it. It just works. It works on every single level. It is beautiful. It has an amazing character. It has amazing characters. It has great opening, ending, great host. It's just amazing. All in all, it's just really underwatched because of the CGI issue. But even then, it's great. And you can see just how much care was put into development of the anime and the story. It's just imaginative, creative. It mixes humor very well with more serious matters. Yeah, it's just really good. I don't know how to say it without spoilers, without anything. It's just great. I don't know. It's amazing.
Sold.
Yeah, I wasn't too sold on it after like the first 2 episodes, but the 3rd episode that aired yesterday or something, it really had a absolutely brilliant visual stuff that was even better than the first 2 episodes in that case. And I think the biggest thing that just sells me on this show is surprisingly the character interaction, even if it's like a fantasy action drama. I don't really know how to describe this show, but yeah, it's hard to describe what makes it great, but it's just great.
Yeah, it's fairly unique. Like, I don't know what kind of anime I would even compare to Houseki no Kuni. There is comparison going on between it and Haibane in May just because of the setting and like the theme of growing up and finding your place in the world. But apart from that, like it's just it's just fairly experimental, interesting, exciting. Yeah, I would definitely recommend trying it out.
Yeah, it's unique and experimental, but at the same time, it's pretty accessible. I think it's not absurd or strange or hard to get into. It's still it still has a lot of things to enjoy about it, even for people who normally don't like experimental shows.
And it also has the best opening and ending of the season. Sorry, Blobsluster.
It's like third behind Sangatsu and Ghost Last Tour in openings and endings.
I haven't seen it yet. I have to judge it then, because I have my own pick for best opening, but...
Same
The
here.
ending is really good.
How could you beat the dab?
The dab is pretty dope.
Dab.
Dab is fab.
Alright. I'm glad you two are positive. I might pick this up because I've been avoiding this one because I've heard very mixed things about it, but hearing you two talk about it seems promising. So the next show is the visual novel event of the whole year, the one that everyone was really hyped for because it's such a good visual novel and the fans crowdfunded it. So it's a magical, wonderful story about how this fucking abomination came to be. Shaw, introduce us to Irae.
Irae. We had too much fun talking about good shows, so we got to go back on track to terrible shows of this season. So Irae is based on a visual novel, and it's about some edgy, vaguely Nazi people who love things, so then they have to destroy things. And I wish I had a better summary for it, but I still don't really know what the fuck is going on. So that's pretty much all I got. But we saw it, like a few weeks back, we had episode 0 come out, which was supposed to be like the premise of it. And you had like Nazi leader, whatever his name is, voiced by Suwabi, going around. And he just like took up his role on like this floating golden chariot, golden floating like kingdom, which I guess is going to be relevant. But as of now, we're following MC-kun as he goes about high school daily high school shenanigans, like looking up girls' skirts and taking pictures of it, and then getting smacked for that because how dare you, baka, ecchi, hentai, like, you know, the usual shit that we always hear.
Sounds like a visual novel to me.
Yeah, it's actually like, the reason I keep bringing up how it's a visual novel is because it's probably the most lazily adapted visual novel I've seen. Like, it's like they just copy-pasted the, like, screens that you get during a visual novel and just tried to, like, vaguely animate it. But you can tell, you're like, oh, this is when he would talk to this one character in a visual novel. And then this other character shows up who would also be on screen. So it's just been really pretty shitty. It's like down there with Ousama Game for me, but at least Ousama Game I can laugh at. This is just sucks. Like, there's no redeeming qualities to it. It looks bad. It sounds bad. The content is bad. Yeah. You guys got you guys got anything for it too?
They really like shot themselves in the foot right at the get-go because no one knew that there was going to be an episode 0. It just started and it just happened to be episode 0 and it made no sense whatsoever. Even some of the visual novel, like I commented that, like, oh, this is probably something only a source reader would understand, and even source readers were like, I have no idea what the hell that was or why they adapted it in this way. That was bullshit.
Yeah, source readers hate it too. They're like, yeah, this show sucks. So it's on the Black Clover tier where like the source readers are like, yeah, don't read this shit.
This reminds me of like when key adaptations come out. Like when Rewrite came out last year, everyone's like, "Oh my god, Rewrite's getting an anime! It's the best key visual novel!" And then the first episode came out. It was an hour long, and it made no sense. And everyone was like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yep.
Yeah. So this sucks. That's all I got. Do not watch this show.
It is pretty bad. Yeah, and then next show is the. Fortunately, we're back on with the good shows. They do exist. This is the big show of the season. This is the one that a lot of people have been hyped about because it was listed as a summer show for some stupid fucking reason. Crunchyroll's been hyping it up for a long time. It is Mahoutsukai no Yome, or the Ancient Magus' Bride. It is about a cute girl named Chise who's had a really fucked up life, and she's basically sold into slavery. The guy who buys her is this gigantic 7-foot tall guy who's got a skeleton. I don't know if he's a skeleton, but at the very least, we only see his skull, and I think he's a goat.
It's like a goat skeleton head.
She is a goat.
It is the goat. And when I put it that way, it does seem like it's a very dark and grim and depressing show. However, it's actually kind of touching and nice.
It's pretty dark, actually.
Well, it is dark for sure, but basically this show has a lot of heart to it, because the show, I guess, is about Chise, the main character, the red-haired girl. It's about her, like, basically taking in this magical world that she lives in, because she hasn't really experienced that yet. And also she is growing closer to this guy, Elias, who is basically her owner. And like he bought this woman, but to like be his bride, I guess, to be
but
his
also,
apprentice.
His apprentice and his bride. Like his magical apprentice, like magician apprentice, but also to be his future bride. But he's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna get married, but he's not like a dick about it. Like, he's not like, guess what, you're my sex slave and my bride. He's like, nah, we're gonna learn magic, oh, and then we're going on our honeymoon, and we're gonna go look at some, like, dragons and shit.
And that's what I like. Elias is a very, very nice character. He's very patient with Chise. He genuinely seems to care for this person. It's not just someone he bought because he's cool or something. I don't exactly know like where this show is going, to be quite honest. I mean, there's a lot going on with the magical world. Chise is what is known as a slay beggar, which is some really powerful mage, I suppose.
And it attracts a lot of familiars. Stuff. It attracts a lot of familiars, so, like, a lot of magical creatures are attracted to her, like fairies.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll see more
fairy
of that.
thoughts.
Yeah, fairies sucking. That's, like, a common thing, too, is, like, how fairies are, like, super trickster and, like, want to, like, kidnap humans to land of the fairies. So I think we're gonna get a lot of, like, British-based fantasy kind of tropes. Like, we're not really familiar with them as much in anime, but it's a lot of kind of the magical world of fairies and magicians that you get in those British types of literature that'll probably be adapted into this type of show. I'm not really sure, though, because I'm not a source reader, but that's just, like, the impression I've gotten so far.
And speaking of those fairies try tricking Chise into basically getting her on their side into her world. And Elias is just like, well, I guess that was going to happen. Well, let's just see what happens. You know, he doesn't get mad at her. He doesn't get impatient or anything. He's just very, very nice.
He's like, yeah, calm. You learned your lesson now.
He's a nice little goat bro. I love the relationship between those two. I like this show is very relaxing at many points, very atmospheric, very beautiful. It is a very, very well put together anime, and but I'm just wondering where it's going to go, because I'm fine. This is a show. Basically, for me, a good show is where it can go in multiple different directions, and any of them could be good. This could stay very nice and relaxing and just be about these two characters in their everyday lives, or it could be really dramatic. I'm willing to watch either of them, and people have told me that it's kind of a mixture of both, so awesome.
Yeah, because right now, it's very slow right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But I think what makes it hard to get into for me right now is that it's not really having a focus. It's like balancing fantasy world building with the girl's backstory, with the interaction with Elias, and it's not really focused yet.
It's not cohesive.
So it's kind of it's kind of interesting to see if it's going to pick a main direction.
Yeah,
because right now it does kind of feel like nothing's happening almost, in a way, or at least nothing. There's no direction.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It like I said, it's like you don't know where it's going just yet.
I'm pretty sure it'll be still the same, like we've got in the third episode.
I don't know. I'm curious because like I think if it's like the way it is right now, I mean it's fine, but I don't think it's like it would like live up to the hype, because this is a very, very popular manga right now.
Yeah, Source Facts has been hyping it like to death.
One of the few shows of the season where the Source Facts actually are behind the series.
And it's not living up to the hype so far, though the third episode has been very good for me. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, I would also say that I'm not really sold on comedy so far. Uh, it's chibi and it's not really well put, I believe, especially since Chise is a tragic character. She's a victim of circumstances stricken by despair, and all these chibi things, they exist, but they don't really add value or even provide the comic relief proper to the series. They just like I don't know.
I
I
really
don't
like
like.
Elias's chibi head though.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny, but the humor is not here. I would enjoy this show having more serious tone, like the third episode. Yeah, we'll see. It's a good show. I would say on the weaker season it would be one of my favorites, but the fall has been very strong, so it's like in the middle of the pack for me.
Yeah, it's pretty
for now.
middle of the pack for me too. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of weird. It's setting like a weird tone of being like kind of serious but not too serious. So then when you get the chibi humor, I think it's almost supposed to contrast with the serious tone, but it's not really working because it wasn't really that serious feeling to begin with. Because as you said, like, you know, when you're talking about someone getting sold into slavery and having such a terrible life, you would picture like almost a dark show that could have taken an edgy tone, but like the color palette and atmosphere and like everything, all of the production values feel kind of lighthearted, and this way they're presenting it is not really as sad as you'd think. So it's kind of weird to have that kind of chibbiness when it doesn't necessarily feel like you need it in the first place.
Yeah, I've heard that it gets less and less as the show goes on, and at one point it's just not even there anymore. So, which makes me think that the show is going in a more serious direction overall, which I think is good because I think right now the show is at a point where I think all the directions it seems to be able to go in can all be good and probably will all be good, but it's just a matter of it needs to pick a direction for me because right now it's just kind of meandering. I think it's just a matter of time before this gets great because it's probably hyped up for a reason.
Yeah, I do think there will be
Hopefully.
something that happens down the line.
I will trust the source fags for this one, but if you guys let me down again, no food for a week.
Oh no.
No.
Alright, so next show is Kujira no Kora no wa Sajou. I don't speak fucking Japanese. It's Children of the Whales.
Yeah, Children of the Whales. Yeah. It's a fairly interesting show. It's fun to talk about it, but it's not as fun to watch it.
That's an interesting statement that I don't think I've heard before.
Yeah, it has a lot of things going on for it. It's been compared to Shinsekai Yori extensively.
That's a high bar.
Yeah, that's a high bar, and sadly enough, so far Wales has not been living up to it. So we have like an alternative world where there's some kind of people floating on the whale of mud in the ocean of sand. No one knows what's going on like in the rest of the world, but some people know. It's a secret and it's a mystery, and it's probably for better to not know what's going on. But our curious protagonists will know what's going on because they're curious, because they want to know. Yeah, it's that kind of show which reveals the mystery of the world slowly but surely, like Shinsekai Yori, except not. Everything has been really quick, really fast, and it has been for the worse, sadly enough. Because, again, let's compare to Shinsekai Yori. Shinsekai Yori seemed boring. It took its time and it actually became boring just to establish the world, just to capitalize on it later on, just so the payoff would be fantastic later on. Wales instead immediately pulls the trigger but doesn't develop situation in any way for us to care, which means the characters are just really just your generic protagonist and his surroundings. They are not interesting characters at all. The world is intriguing, but it didn't have really any time for us to grow on. everything is so quick. It's just the revelation are coming on you like in the speed of light, basically. Like there was a twist at the start of the second episode. We didn't even have time to stomach it, and there was another twist in the same episode at the later point. I don't know. It's weird. It's not like I would prefer this kind of shows. I would prefer them be more slow, more deliberate on its setting, on its characters, even if at the cost of being a bit less entertaining. It would still capitalize on it later on. But instead, it just pushes some kind of action on characters. It wants the people to be entertained. So yeah, actually, I am kind of disappointed with it, sadly enough. It's strikingly beautiful though. Like the background are amazing. Holy shit, that's like 10 of 10.
I love the way they animate the sand.
Yeah.
The ending theme is just sand for 90 seconds, and I can just watch it all day.
Yeah, and it's great too.
I think the show it's interesting, and it definitely shows potential to become great, I suppose. But yeah, it hasn't done much so far to make me believe that it's actually going to be great, just that it could be. It's just like Yome, it just hasn't really defined the direction yet, or if it's going to be a drama show, or if it's going to be an adventure show, or whatever. So I'm really just unsure on how I feel about the show right now.
I think episode 3 will like really cement what the show is and where it's going. Cause,
establish,
yeah, because at the ending of episode 2 is like a huge game changer that kind of throws. Well, I won't spoil anything, but that's kind of where we're at, by the way, just for context. Because this is going to come out when 3 episodes are out, but episode 3, as of this recording, has not come out, so we haven't seen it. At least
I'm just worried that the show will take an action turn and will become an action series, basically. I think it was hinted on the opening as well. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm not too optimistic.
Well, just the fact that the characters have like a magic power of sorts, I think that kind of shows.
But the world is interesting. The world is interesting, and the art is great. So there's definitely.
Yeah, it's curious.
In terms of
not solid presentation.
In terms of the setting, that could provide a lot of interesting parts to explore, and
Also, it's kind of flat on the theme, like emotions. Oh, it's bad to not have emotions. Oh my god, it's so sad. I mean, yeah, it's such a dry topic, really, and it's not like Children of the Whales brings anything new to the table. So yeah, if anyone tells you it's a new Shinsekai Yori, do not believe them.
But that is the thing, is we don't know if it's going to be the new Shinsekai Yori. Because we didn't know Shinsekai Yori was Shinsekai Yori until the later half, where you did see that payoff.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. And we know for sure... and we know for sure that Children of the Whales will not be finished. So, likely the payoff will not be here. So yeah, we'll see. At least the backgrounds are really great. Well,
maybe it's like... It does feel... kind of a weird comparison, but like between a Shinkai film and Shinsekai Yori, that's kind of the direction I'm seeing in my mind. Where it's like,
I see that.
Shinkai Yori.
Shinkai Yori, there it is.
Shinkai Yori.
There it is.
Oh my god. Alright, we gotta move on. We got a couple more shows left. Whoops, tell us about...
Sho-bitch.
My girlfriend is a faithful virgin bitch.
This is...
title fear.
It's apparently it's just a wrong translation, because she's not actually a bitch. She's just an idiot, kind of.
Unforgivable.
Well, okay, so
all girls are bitches. It's funny because it's sexist.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna react to that. I don't have a response to that.
So the show, the show kind of opens with a very generic, like you have the silent, pretty class president girl with short silver hair, and the characterless main guy who's going to confess to her. You know, like your basic school ecchi stuff. But the gimmick of the show is that the girl like accepts his confession and they're dating, but the girl is like constantly just saying sexual shit because that's what she thinks being in a relationship is. Just make sexual innuendos all the time. That's basically the gist of the show. That's the show. And, you know, the girl is actually quite okay, the main girl. And the main couple generally has some cute moments. And it would have been fine if it wasn't for the absolutely awful supporting cast. There's like, the main character has a little sister and a childhood friend. And they're just the most obnoxious, annoying characters I've seen in a long time.
That's...
I'm not watching the show, but let me guess.
I don't know who
she's the main character. She's the...
Oh my
okay,
god!
yeah,
Yuki's the main character! What else is she voicing?
the main girl's definitely carrying the show.
Is she voicing the old man
like
in Inuyashiki too?
That would be lit.
Do you know that she's also voicing Akira, a new character in Ballroom?
Oh, she's that one girl.
That
She's not the...
that much.
Yeah, I can see that.
But anyway, yeah, it's bad, but it's weirdly charming.
I thought the first episode...
charming.
It's kind of like, it's like weirdly fun, even if the supporting cast is bad. Without the supporting cast, I would consider finishing this just because it has some cute moments between the main two characters and the main girl is fun to watch.
So are they annoying because they keep trying to get with the MC even though he's with the girl now, or are they annoying just with like their personalities and antics?
They exist to make like more innuendos.
Yeah, but the way they make innuendos is like the main girl, she makes innuendos, but at least she has sort of a personality. But the two supporting characters are just like the most obnoxious. They have the most obnoxious way of making innuendos.
They do it just to fuck with him, while the main girl is actually like innocent about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The main girl's actually like trying to have a relationship. She just doesn't really know how to. So she's kind of dense in that way.
Gotcha.
The other two girls are they're just constantly shoving themselves into the scene and between the two characters just to be obnoxious and make innuendos and just forcing themselves onto the main character.
Okay.
And the main character is like a bland guy, but he also has kind of fun response to it because you can tell from the first episode that he just stopped giving a shit a long time ago. I mean, it's not like he's Kazuma or anything. He's still bland, but he's just like, yeah, whatever. Let these people be. Whatever, fuck them. So that's kind of fun. But yeah,
okay.
You won't be missing out on anything if you're not watching it.
I thought the first episode was pretty funny, but I also see this show getting really old really fast.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are they going to do for, like, 12 episodes or however many this is going to go on? I haven't even seen episode 2 yet, just because I'm just, like, kind of prepared to drop it. So.
Yeah, it's just, when I'm watching it, when I watch the main couple, it's just like, okay, this is pretty watchable, kind of nice, but then when the supporting characters shows up, it's just, no, go away, you're ruining it! So, that's kind of the feeling the show gives me. It's an okay show when the supporting cast is not there, but the supporting cast is there 90% of the time, and when they are there, it's awful.
Huh.
I heard people calling it bad, SYD, and that's why I decided not to watch it. And it seems like it's still bad, SYD.
You're not missing out on anything.
Alright, so final non-sequel at least is Inuyashiki.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, we'll see if we see you again, but because you might just disappear since we've been doing this for so long. But Inuyashiki, I think, is actually one of the more polarizing shows of the season. The premise is there's kind of two main characters. There's one with this old guy who in the first episode he gets diagnosed with like stomach cancer, and like his family generally sucks. Like they're not really paying attention to him or appreciative of him. Like nothing really bad, but just kind of like normal family things where they're just kind of being little shits. And then he's out in a park, and I guess like an alien spaceship lands on him and this other guy. And they're kind of like, you hear this dialogue from the aliens talking about like, yo, we can't kill these humans because then they'll realize aliens exist. So we're gonna like restore them. And he and this other guy get restored as like these robotic bodies that maintain their memories and personalities, but they're just not human anymore. And so we see that like while the old guy is really focused on saving others around him, and that kind of makes him feel more alive and retains his humanity, the other guy feels more human by going around and killing people. And that's like, I guess, how he feels connected to humanity. So we've now kind of created this like cat and mouse game between the two, where one guy, who I presume is going to try and save people and stop this guy, and this guy's just going to try and go and kill people. And
Yeah,
So like Death Note.
it's like Death Note meets Parasite, but with robots.
Well,
Yeah,
That's how I would describe it. So
It's
it's
pretty wild.
yeah. People seem to really like this show because
Shit.
well, I don't know why. Because because it's dark and extreme and just
well,
cool to watch. But I really hate it generally. It's just everything I don't like. Like the first episode, and especially the first half of the episode, when it was about the old man kind of reaching the end of his life and finding out that he has cancer and just being completely down in the dumps. I thought it was fun to watch, but then when it just became about them turning into these cyborg people, they just lost me. And after the first episode, I was like, okay, well, this is just not for me. But after the second episode, when it just became so incredibly extreme and gory and it's shocking for the sake of it, that I just felt like, okay, this is just something that you watch if you want some shocking,
edgy show.
schlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of two minds in this show because first thing, I think I'd say I'm enjoying it, but I really love how we have an old man as a main character. I love that so much just because we don't see that often, in a world of like, I'm 15 and I'm your average teenager, look at all the cool shit I can do. It's like, it's great to see like an old guy for like a change of pace. And then, I liked the scene. I did like the first episode, where he saves the homeless guy. And I like seeing that. But then when we got to the second episode, I thought they did a really good job at first of establishing the other guy as kind of like this creepy psychopath character who you're not really sure if he's actually going around killing people or if he's just really creepy and robotic in his actions. And then they showed the scene where he's like killing this family, and I was just really disappointed with it because I felt like they could have done that in such a nuanced way. Like if they just ended the scene with him saying like, oh, you guys are it, and they just show him walking into the house, and then we go back to say like the old man who hears that girl like yelling for help. I think that would have handled that situation so much better in a nuanced way that was focused more on the like how creepy he was instead of like, oh look, he's killing this whole family. It's really edgy. Like, it's just kind of, it made the decision to be edgy and violent when it could have decided to be more psychological and nuanced. So I think that's
The show.
I think we know what we're in for with that. And I've heard that it just becomes like gets edgier, so I'm enjoying it for like entertainment value and the old guy, but mostly I'm just watching it for the opening. That's what I'm here for.
Hit me on the ground. That's my favorite OP of the season.
Mine too. Apparently, fun fact, it's Hit Me Underground, not On the Ground.
What?
Yeah.
My god!
Yeah, Hit Me Underground. So, fun fact on that. So when you're singing along with it, you gotta like Hit Me Underground. So, I love that.
Idiots at Amazon. You fucking subbed it wrong.
Of course. Yeah, like you gotta do Hit Me Underground. So I'm loving that opening. You guys, what do you guys think? I just ranted for a bit.
Of the opening or the show?
Both. There are two separate entities, this opening and the show.
Okay, I'll start with the opening. I'll open with the opening. Okay, the OP, it's not really my style of song, I guess. I really like the chorus, but I don't really like the, I don't know, rap
The rap verse.
Yeah, that's not really my thing. So, but the animation is interesting, CG stuff. Yeah, okay. Now that that's over, the show, yeah, I said before, like, it's definitely extreme for the sake of being extreme at points, which is kind of my biggest problem with the show. And the main villain guy, who is kind of reduced down to just a generic psychopath, even though he did show potential to be something more interesting. It just also feels a bit watered down version of what it could have been.
So I was gone for a couple minutes, so I apologize if I'm repeating anything. What was kind of weird to me is I thought the first episode was excellent, honestly. Like, one of the best first episodes of the whole season. But what's weird is that... So the first episode, of course, I mean, you might have explained this, but it establishes the character of Inuyashiki, what his life is all about, and then he gets the robot powers. I don't understand why they didn't do the same thing for the antagonist. It's really weird. Well, no,
establishing. I thought you meant like he didn't get the powers. I'm like, nah, he's a robot.
Yeah, of course. It's like, I think the second episode should have followed the same structure as the first one, where you see this character, you know all about him at first, and then he gets the powers, and then it's like, okay, now what does this person do with these powers? Instead, it just establishes that he already has the powers, and then it's just, as you said, it's total edgelord schlock, basically. I can like characters that are like complete psychopaths that are just totally about destruction. My favorite character of all time is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI, because that's what he is. He's just a fucking psychopath.
I thought you were going to say Mayuri, and I was like, no one's more of a psychopath than Mayuri with her tutor's.
She's the most OP main character in all of anime.
And I have to say, but like, by polarizing, we have people on like one end with like maybe whoops, but maybe more extreme of like, this is hot garbage. I saw someone call the main villain the best portrayal of a psychopath in any medium, which is probably the most inaccurate statement I've seen in a while, because we're talking about the same medium that has Johan from Monster and Makishima from Psychopaths, and there's no way this guy is getting close to either of those two. And
the thing I like about him the most is not the fact that he's edgy, but the fact that like while he's like threatening to kill this one girl, he just wants to talk about One Piece.
Oh yeah, that was so funny. That was so funny. That was the like most dank shit of this, like, almost Ousama game level of just, like, are you kidding me with this shit? But I saw someone say that apparently that's, like, some psychopath thing where they can relate more to, like, fictional characters than they can real people. But I still think it's dank. Like...
Yeah, it was really strange because, like, one of the first things you see about the guy is just him grabbing Shonen Jump, like, turning 2 pages and then crying because of how good it was. Like, the guy read 2 pages of manga and then started crying because of how good One Piece was that week.
Yo, One Piece fans.
That was really funny. That really got to me.
One Piece fans, what can you do? Like,
we'll go on.
No, you go.
Well, I wanted to say, I was changing the topic, but I like that his friend is a huge fan of Gantz. Because this is the same author of Gantz, and it's like even though it has like nothing to do with the anime, my favorite part of the episode was like these two kind of having a little back and forth about whether or not Gantz sucks or not. And it's like I feel like it was the author criticizing himself or like reciting reviews that he got about this manga, and it was like himself being like, it doesn't suck, dude.
Props for that. If he's writing, because you could see some authors, like, including their own thing and being like, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of this. This is really good. Props to him for being like, yeah, I heard this manga sucked. Not as good as One Piece. So, like, props to that, at least, for him being, like, tongue-in-cheek about it. But yeah, I think...
The friend who's the Gantz fan is also a bit of an idiot, because the sociopath guy, at one point, he completely opens his head and shows like robotic insights to his friend, and then like 2 minutes later he tells his friend, it was this cool magic trick I found on the internet, and the friend's just like, well, okay.
I'm not sure.
That sounds plausible.
I think the friend is possibly really retarded for also asking like, hey, you're not gonna kill me, right? And it's like, you're all thinking it, but you're like, don't say it. Don't say that out loud and tempt him. Like, yeah, so... So his friend doesn't
There's
have many, like, survival instincts, but yeah.
I just think in general the dialogue is a bit strange and not very good. There's really weird lines that just don't feel natural. Like it's something I found on the internet, and the French just being like, yeah, the dialogue is not really good.
Yeah,
I'd say. So, but yeah, that's not the appeal of the show. Clearly, it's just about a guy going around being edgy, and then another old man.
Yeah, the main villain basically exists to be super edgy, so that way we as an audience can hate him as much as possible. That's basically all they were really doing.
Nice writing. I'm not watching the show. I wanted to initially pick it up, but instead I picked up Houseki. I'm not trying to watch more than 14 shows at a time.
Specific number.
It's because if you divide 14 by 2, it would be
2 per day.
Not by 2, but by 7, it would be 2 episodes a day.
Yeah.
Which is a nice space for me. Yeah, it's complicated. Anyway. And I was also not that optimistic coming into it, because the source readers were saying that the manga is pretty meh, especially in the second half. So yeah. We'll see. Again, as with Urahara, I am keeping my eye on it, and we'll see how reviews are going for after it ends.
You can just watch the OP and then call it a day. You can, like, if you're not already watching it, you can watch the opening and then be like, okay, this is pretty cool, and then, like, we'll let you know.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of the most popular shows of the season in view count and in score, so it's definitely something that a lot of people like.
Agree.
Well, Black Clover is also popular, and so what?
It is definitely at the very least better than Black Clover.
That's all that matters. There you go. Inuyashiki is now the new king of shonen.
King of shonen, yeah.
Alright, so are we done with Inuyashiki?
We are. We're going to hit it underground, so then we can take it over to sequels, because there are a lot of them this season.
Yeah, the actual king of shonen has a new season. It is Shokugeki no Souma. At this point, it doesn't. What's up?
So there's one thing I was wondering about. The first season was called First Blade. Third season was called Third Blade. Just how many blades they will have by the end of the story?
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark that they're gonna put the name of the season in front of plate for as many seasons as they have. So we might get a 4th plate if they do a season 4. Don't quote me on that.
That's a hot take right there.
Don't at me.
Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty damn big dish by the end of the story.
There's a big fish to fry. Yeah,
Jesus Christ. So, Shokugeki, at this point, doesn't really need an introduction. It's a cooking anime, quote unquote. Shokugeki no Souma is a cooking anime. That's a funny meme.
I love that meme.
Yep. If you haven't seen it, you've been living under a rock. Just go fucking watch it. This season is good. I think I'm an annoying source fag, so I think only going to be I only think it's going to be like as good as season 2, which was like kind of meh, mainly because of the pacing. This season's going to be a lot better paced, I'm sure, because they actually have 2 cores once again, and and right now they're adapting chapters a lot slower than season 2, which was like adapting 5 or 6 chapters per episode. This is moving at like 2 or 3, and it's in one of my favorite arcs of the whole manga, an arc that I think is very underrated. It's the
I like it too.
Arc. Yeah, it's
probably my favorite arc in the Shokugeki series.
It's just a very fun arc with all these great characters just kind of having fun and doing their own thing. The only reason why there's like any stakes whatsoever is because Souma is a dumbass who's in over his head like usual. But it's just a fun time. I
gotta say, I love how they chose from, I think his name's Kuga? Like,
Kuga.
For who's like his rival for this arc. I love how they chose like Kaiji Yuji, so it's a battle of the like generic MC voice VAs, because you got they got, and they both are actually, I think they're actually both like talented voice actors who just get typecast as these like really like bland protagonists or yelling protagonists, one of the two. And then they're really getting to show their voice acting chops in this, where they get to be these kind of charming but overzealous characters who are kind of tricksters, but they're full of personality. So I really like this arc, because I think it does what Shokugeki does best, which is like high stakes cooking battles that involve the entire cast. Because I love when everyone in the cast is involved and they all have their own like agendas, their own goals, their own cooking styles. So it's not kind of like just Souma on his own and everyone else gets left behind. So we get, of course, Best Girl Alice Pouts with like her team, and then we get we get to see the Elite 10, who are pretty dope too. So I think it should be pretty fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this arc is kind of like the last good one for a while, unfortunately. It goes a little downhill, but I'm actually not going to like be super serious about that because I don't actually know. They could adapt it differently. I could be wrong. Who knows?
We could. We will find out. But so far it's pretty good. I hope it'll be better than Season 2, but I don't know if it'll be able to retain that same magic that Season 1 had. I feel like JC
won't,
yeah, I feel like JC staff kind of mailed it in. Like they know that people are going to watch it and it's going to be moderately successful, so they're not trying as hard as they did for Season 1. But, fingers crossed.
It's basically like this anime is basically surviving because the manga is super popular because it's Shonen Jump, and they don't really care about like how many Blu-rays it sells as long as the manga keeps selling, which it will, fortunately. Yep. But it does mean they are getting a lower budget. Character artist really taking a tumble this time around.
Yeah.
Which is really unfortunate because, of course, all the manga readers have been hyping Kobayashi Rindo as like the new best girl of the whole anime sphere, which, I mean, I don't like disagree or anything, but she is like significantly more attractive in the manga because Tosh draws his characters so perfectly. And it's like Kobayashi doesn't have a particularly striking design at first glance. The only thing that like really stands out is her cat eyes and her fangs, but it's like in the anime it just doesn't have the same impact. But in the manga with all that polish, it's like, oh, it's so perfect.
Yeah, agreed. So
that's good.
Okay.
So more sequels. We'll do the me and Cav corner for Gintama, which is finally back to some comedy arcs after being serious for earlier this year. Cav, what take on Gintama do you have after like 6 seasons?
I'm gonna say that it's still fun, but it's not as like hysterical as it used to be. It's still a very good comedy. It's still solid, but I feel like in the middle of 400 of episodes, comedy is getting a bit too old for me. I'm not sure if there's a way to fix it. I don't know. It's a kind of weird decision to even adapt this arc. I'm welcoming it because it's more Gintama.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's awkwardly placed, and the humor is kind of old. I don't know.
So
what do you think about it?
I think it's, as you said, it's more Gintama, so people are gonna love it. I do think it's awkwardly timed, but I also don't think Bandai Namco is really doing anyone any favors because they took it over and their production values are a bit shoddy. So even for something like a comedy arc where there's not much animation that's required, they're kind of fucking that one up. But it hasn't been that bad. I think the first arc that we saw was like kind of whatever, but I actually did read the manga for some of the other comedy arcs that are being adapted, and I think they'll be pretty funny, but we're not going to see the best of Gintama this season. So this is just some nice comedy arcs that are getting adapted, and then we'll probably move into the final arc sometime next year.
Yep. Yeah. Just a nice comedy overall. Yep.
Yeah. So 30-second Gintama corner, and then we have another big sequel that I don't think many people expected to come out, which was Kekai Sensen. Is anyone else watching that, or just me?
I am watching it. I like me some Top Kek Sensei.
So did you like the first season?
I did, and I was actually really kind of nervous going into this season because they got a new director. That was established pretty early. And what I was worried about is that the old director of season 1 like rejected the offer of doing a second season because all of the accomplishments that they made in that first, they did everything they wanted with that first season, and it was also adapting the manga kind of weirdly, where they didn't like adapt the actual manga's story if it has one, assumedly. Instead, they just pulled like isolated chapters and then loosely tied it together with an original story in the anime. So I was wondering like what the hell are they going to do with a second season? Instead, I did this without knowing that there's actually a sequel to Kekkai Sensen. This is actually back to back. That's the new manga that's going.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that because I was actually not a big fan of the first season for kind of some of the reasons you listed. It felt like it was disorganized, but not in a way that made like any impact on me. Like, I know what they were trying to go for with that, like, life in a New York minute, like really busily, like, you know, you could almost die for breakfast, but then have enough time to like save the day and then have lunch, and it's nothing in the grand scheme of things. But I felt like it was kind of a bit too much for me for anything to really stick, whether it was like character personalities or the story. So I think the second season has done a good job of being that really hectic, busy pacing that you get from New York City, but it's managed to be a bit more cohesive. So I'm really enjoying it so far. The soundtrack is still really good. Opening is really great. I'm liking it so far, and I hope it continues on as is.
Yeah, it's very chaotic, very very violent, but also like very, very goofy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like edgy, I guess. It's just very silly the way it is. So over the top and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's a ton of fun. I'm actually enjoying this season a lot more than the first season because
yeah.
I don't know if this season's actually going to have a story or not. I kind of hope it doesn't, to be honest. I just want it to be an episodic series of just pure chaos.
Yeah,
because
cool
I wasn't a fan of the story in the first season with Waito, and I mean, and everyone likes her.
That was apparently anime original.
Yeah, it was, and I know everyone thinks she's really cute, but I'm just like, I was more enjoying it when it was just chaotic and hyper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is good. I really enjoy this. I'm actually going to watch the third episode when we're done, if we ever finish recording this.
Well, we do only have one more left, and we saved the best for last. The best, maybe?
Possibly.
Maybe?
Yeah. Whoops. Tell us about the best anime of all time.
It is the best anime of all time, by the way. Sangatsu no Lions, second season. Finally! Well, it's been only 6 months, but finally.
Oh, so long.
6 months.
Shaft
the 6 months are over. Yeah. Based Shaft, making sequels. Yeah, this is Sangatsu no Lion, and it's... I don't really know what to say about it, because it's a sequel, but yeah. It's... Just do yourself a favor and watch this show.
Yeah, from the two first episodes of the second season, it seems like the first one never ended. It's like a flawless transition from first season into the second one, basically. They're even counting chapters from after the first season ended.
Yeah, the first season just ended on like a screen chapter 44, and then like at the end of the first season, there was immediately an announcement for the second season, and this just flowed into it perfectly. And it's just more of the same thing, and it's brilliant. And yeah,
it's early to judge. Basically, I'm only can share some expectations, some hopes. I'm expecting some development for Ray. I know that some arc for Hina is coming out.
Yeah, what?
So yeah, I guess it would be cool. Also, people have been saying that the next arc is going to be like the best arc of Sangatsu no Lion, and actually everyone who loved the first season is going to give second season 10 out of 10 for sure. So yeah, we'll see. Source facts being source facts as usual.
Do you mean to tell me that the natural progression of a story means that it's going to get better over time? What? Didn't expect that.
That's a hot take. So, question though.
Thank God we have the source facts.
No. I was wondering, will the story be complete as of second season? Like, will it be a full adaptation, or there's more? Okay.
It is still an ongoing manga.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just was wondering, because I still have to finish the first season, not because of, me not liking it. I think I just put it on hold because I got overwhelmed with airings. But I am looking forward to this, because I liked season 1.
Maybe even after this second season, maybe they might have enough content for a third season. This is a manga that's been going on for 10 fucking years, and it's only just now getting an anime.
Is it selling well?
It's also...
It's one of the...
it's a very popular manga.
The anime sold okay numbers, but the manga is actually like one of the most popular manga right now.
Okay.
Because it's by the author who did Honey and Clover.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And Shaft is also a studio that's kind of not afraid to make countless of sequels for the same show, like with Monogatari, which they completely finished.
Monogatari is in the league of its own, so yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and they sold so much for Monogatari, so the Blu-rays itself, so it was funding itself and more. But
yeah, but I mean, Monogatari has a lot of sequels. Hidamari Sketch had a lot of sequels. Setsubo Sensei had a lot of sequels. Even Arco on the Bridge had a sequel. So almost every show.
They're making a fucking sequel of Mechakusity actors.
I mean, Shaft just likes to stick with their franchises, which is...
Yeah, we'll see. But at this point, the anime approaches the manga very quickly.
Yeah,
like it catches up to it. So yeah, we'll see how much we'll have to wait for the third season. But for now, we're gonna enjoy the second season, I guess.
120. No, wait, that was okay. 1 year ago, it had 126 chapters.
Yeah, and it's doing like 40 a season.
Yeah.
2 chapters.
Season 3, when? will they call it 3 Gatsu no Line? Okay.
Haha. Ha.
Good job, boss.
Good job.
My only expectations for this season is that I just want more Akari. She is my waifu. She is perfect. She is the best. And this season has only had 1 minute of her, so it sucks.
Yeah, we need more Kawamoto happiness.
Fair enough.
I am very excited for this Hina arc, though. I mean, I do like
it. Hina is definitely my favorite out of the 3 sisters. But Kyoko's best girl, because she's just... she steals every scene she's in, and she's just mesmerizing. But yeah, it's a brilliant show.
I'm not going to comment on that. Alright, anyone have anything to add about March Comes In Like a Lion?
No, not really.
Alright, then I guess we are done.
Whoa, at last.
We've talked about all the shows that we wanted to talk about. Basically, if we didn't watch it, it either means that none of us are watching it because it sucks, or not enough people are watching it, and the ones who are watching it think it sucks. So that's just how it goes.
Nah,
actually,
really.
That's
Shuumatsu is quite good. I'm just not feel like there is any to talk about it.
Actually, that's actually an understatement, because last season we skipped the show in the first impressions and then watched it later, and it was actually amazing. So, watch Guru. Anyway, that's about it for this episode. Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you for your support. Thank you, everyone, my guests, for being on here.
Yeah, it was good to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully you listen to this entire fucking 2-hour-long podcast. Jesus Christ.
Shout out to everyone who did.
Yeah.
Shout out.
And we didn't just skip through the timestamps, because we know you do skip through the timestamps.
All right. Say goodbye, everyone. And goodbye.
Adios.
Or just
me. Yeah. See you, Space Cowboys.
Bye.
Watch Urahara.